There's a harmful government agency that should be shuttered. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. There's no better example of modern socialism than the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. Created at the behest of Senator Elizabeth Warren in the aftermath of the 2008-2009 economic crisis, its stated goal is to protect consumers from bad actors and practices in the financial marketplace. In reality, it has been on a power-grabbing mission on how banking and lending should be done, as they think it should be done. Old-line Marxists thought that the government needed to own the so-called means of production to realize their socialist goals. Modern Marxists realize you don't need to own something to control it. Rather, you can achieve that by extensive, intrusive regulation. In the case here, the CFPB was structured in a way that is a socialist delight, as it made it unaccountable to Congress. It gets its money each year, not from congressional appropriations, where it would have to make its case and answer questions, but rather automatically from the Federal Reserve. That's right, the Fed simply transfers funds to the CFPB. The agency can run wild while thumbing its nose at Capitol Hill, which often does. On its face, this would seem to be a brazen violation of the Constitution. A federal appeals court thought so, but incredibly, a befuddled Supreme Court refused to throw out this bizarre, unprecedented arrangement that makes a mockery of accountability in a democracy. In practice, the CFPB has been a disaster for consumers. It tore after payday lenders, overlooking that this could push low-income people to the none-too-tender hands of loan sharks. It waged war against credit card and various bank fees that ended up raising consumer interest rates. It passed a rule that will have the perverse effect of making it easier for fraudsters to scam bank and credit card customers. The agency went after high-tech outfits that would compete with big banks. It made getting mortgages more difficult for certain groups of people. It launched an attack on auto financing that was baseless. Most of its actions are against small businesses, and on it goes. Of course there's wrongdoing in the money business, but there are plenty of rules and laws on the federal and state level to deal with those. Given its egregious mistake, perhaps the High Court can reverse itself in a face-saving way. The Fed is ostensibly supposed to use the interest it receives from its $7 trillion portfolio to fund the CFPB. But in a first in the history of central banking, the Federal Reserve is losing money. It loaded up on bonds and mortgages that pay little interest. Banks deposit their reserves at the Fed, and the Fed pays interest on those reserves at a far higher rate than what it gets from its portfolio. Last year, the Fed's loss was over $100 billion. The Supremes could perhaps use that technicality. The Federal Reserve isn't financing this agency from its portfolio earnings, since there are no net earnings. However it's done, whether by the Supreme Court or by an act of Congress, this entity should go to the historic dumpster. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.